Hello and welcome guys to Eli's Net Forge. I am Eli and today we will be discovering the SOC, otherwise known as the Security Operations Center. The Security Operations Center is the central nervous system of your network, detecting the bad, stopping the threat, and keeping the business running. It focuses on 5 core factors: continuous monitoring, incident response, threat intelligence, vulnerability management, and compliance and reporting. Most home labs stop at basic logging, but real SOCs don't rely on just a single tool. They correlate across multiple data sources. In this series, we are building a complete free security operation lab that mirrors a real enterprise environment. We will deploy Wazuh as our lightweight agent-based XDR for endpoint detection, Splunk Enterprise as our heavy-duty log aggregator to collect and analyze Linux host logs, Windows Server 2025 running Active Directory for centralized identity and authentication logging, a Kali Linux attack machine to simulate real threats, and a vulnerable Windows machine as our target, also running sysmon for Windows Advanced Logging. And finally, we're going to be downloading VirtualBox to run all of these services at once. Here's the complete architecture we are building today. You will need at least 16 gigabytes of RAM and virtualization enabled on your PC or laptop. We're using VirtualBox with 5 virtual machines. We have a Wazuh server which runs Wazuh Manager, Indexer, and Dashboard via Docker. We also have our Splunk server, which runs Splunk Enterprise. This will ingest syslogs, auth logs, and firewall logs from all Linux hosts and generate SSH brute force dashboards. Another one of our servers is Windows Server 2025. This is our domain controller. It runs Active Directory domain services. Every Windows machine will join this domain, so all authentication events flow into both Wazuh via agent and Splunk via Windows event forwarding. We have two machines here, or clients. We have our Kali Linux machine, which is our attacker machine. We will use it to launch SSH brute force, RDP brute force, and file tampering attacks. Another one of our machines is our vulnerable Windows 11 machine. It is a domain joined workstation with weak security settings, intentionally vulnerable to demonstrate detection in this lab. All logs from the Linux host and the domain controller will be sent to both Wazuh for real-time alerts and Splunk for deep historical analysis and custom dashboards. By the end of this series, you will have dashboards detecting SSH brute force attacks in Splunk, real-time file integrity checks and alerts in Wazuh, and cross-correlated Active Directory login failures, all for free. Let's get into it. Okay, wait. First thing we're going to want to do is download VirtualBox and get started. And then, so I'm personally using Windows, okay, right? And you can download it with whatever is your subtlety or good home. Window. And it pops up as this Window XE, and then you'll run it when it's done. After installing VirtualBox, we want to extract the ISOs or download the ISOs to our device. And to do this, we're going to first start with Windows. And when we go to Windows, we're going to look up the Windows, download Windows. We're going to go down to the bottom and go to the section where it says download Windows 11 disk image or your ISO. So we're going to hit confirm after we select Windows to make sure it's the right thing. Pick our language and hit confirm. I already downloaded it, but after it downloads, you can just go into the next download, which is Ubuntu server. Don't get desktop. We need server. And so with Ubuntu server, you just hit the download. As you can see, I already downloaded. Let's refresh this again. It'll kind of look like, the page will look like this. Click download, boom. It'll download and then you'll be good. For Windows Server 2025, you kind of go to the same Microsoft thing. Just look up Windows Server 2025 download. Hit the ISO download for English or your preferred language. And then for Kali Linux, it's a little bit more complicated. I'll explain it later when we're putting the ISOs onto VirtualBox. But for now, just click this and then it'll start installing the zip. Now that we have everything downloaded, let's start by creating our network. We go by creating our network by going to this network tab in the VirtualBox Manager, hitting NAT networks, then hitting create. Now we're going to name it SOC LAB. And I like 192. Use whatever public you want. And then 100. Then enable DHCP so that it can dynamically give the IP addresses. Alright. Hit apply. And so now we have our SOC lab. Once we have our SOC lab, we can go now to start creating our machines. To create our first machine, we'll start with Wazuh. We're going to hit new, name, Wazuh. Oh, if I can spell. Wazuh. What's wrong with that? Oh. What? I'm calling it Wazuh. It don't like Wazuh. It might like it for you, but it didn't like it for me. And since we're using Wazuh, we're going to download it using Ubuntu because we're downloading Docker on Ubuntu to host Wazuh. And then now we have to create a password or it'll yell at you. And now our Wazuh machine is powering up. We don't really have to power it up right now. We're not going to do that. All right, up. I don't know what those were. Next, let's go to create our Splunk server. Name it Splunk server. Do not put a space because it doesn't like spaces. You can put dashes. And then we're going to use Ubuntu because we're doing the same Docker stack this way, you know. The good old. Creating a password. And now that is going to start getting busy. You can... I'm going to go through and show you guys how to set this up in later videos, so we'll get into that when we get into that. And then alrighty, we're going to create a new one. We're going to call this one Windows AD because this is going to be our Active Directory where we're hosting Windows Server. Pick that ISO you downloaded. Brother, what are we doing? I don't know. I didn't like the. They don't like parentheses either, I guess. Very, very picky, this machine. Very, very picky. And that's going to try to boot up again. We'll boot that up another time. Okay. Why does it always shut that down? I don't understand that. It does that. But if you ever come back and you see this, don't be alarmed. It's just the home page. Go to machines, and that's where all your machines will be. Let's see. Let's get our vulnerable machine set up. We'll just be very cliche, not very creative. Okay, but wait. Kali Linux is a little bit different. Bear with me here. Open up your files to your downloads folder where you downloaded the Kali Linux ISO, or so you thought. It's going to be a compressed file. We're going to uncompress the file. Boom. Once we uncompress the file, it's going to look like this. No zipper. We're going to go into that file. Oh my goodness. I have so much in here. All right. We're going to click that. Once we click that, boom. And now we're ready. And you should just be able to power it on, and boom. Next, we're going to get everything connected. So we're going to select the machine, right click it. I'm going to start with my Kali machine. Click on settings. Then you're going to click on network. Click on attach to. Change it from NAT to NAT network. If you have multiple, it'll be a multiple drop down. But if you have, we only have one, so it'll just auto you to the one. This is a good stopping point for part 1 of our series. To recap, so far we have downloaded VirtualBox to our PC or laptop. We have added the ISOs to VirtualBox Manager, and then we connected our virtual machines all on one network called SOC LAB. I want to thank you guys for stopping by and watching my video. Tune in tomorrow for the next part where we will be setting up Wazuh inside of the virtual machine using Ubuntu and Docker. Do, 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 do.